Hi, everybody. Tom Van Hoy with this edition of the Pitt State Indoor Track and Field Insider Show with Gorilla head coach Russ Jewett. Pitt State athletes in Allendale, Michigan and Norman, Oklahoma last weekend. 2 outstanding performances at Grand Valley State and some standout efforts as well in Oklahoma. Coach Jewett in Michigan, both distance runners Jessica Macy and Adam Volkert with strong showings there.
Yeah, I was pleased with both of those athletes. Jessica put herself in a position to make it into the national championship. She's got a provisional qualifying mark with that 17:04 she ran up there. That's the second fastest ever in our history. We've had a few good women's distance runners, so I'm really proud of her for that. And, it's kind of a waiting game with that time, but it looks like it's a pretty solid qualifying time. And Adam did a great job. The race wasn't quite as competitive way up front as I'd hoped it would be. I mean, obviously he got beat by a Wichita State athlete, but he's a great follower and a kicker and a chaser, and he had to do some of the work by himself to stay on pace. And you need to be able to do that, if that's what's required. And he fell a little bit short in terms of running faster. He came within a few tenths of a second, I think, of what he had run in Nebraska earlier in the 3K there, but still showed that he can run really fast off of a pace, so he's championship ready, that's for sure.
Do you change strategy based on, the athlete maybe but B, those that the competition that they're going to face?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, you have to know your own strengths. You can't, if your strength is to sit and kick, in other words, be conservative in the first part of the race and try and outkick someone at the end, then all of a sudden going leading from start to finish just because someone else can sit and kick doesn't necessarily work for you. So first, you know your own strengths, but it does pay to know what your competition is capable of. If it's you and someone else in a race that have a chance to win, and you know that person's weaknesses and strengths, then you can kind of race accordingly, tactically or strategically.
Well, when you take a look at how they did perform, and that's pretty much what you expected, are these races, are there a lot of athletes in these races? I guess I asked the question from the standpoint, do you need to get out of there in a hurry to avoid, getting run into?
That's a great question. In that women's 5K, we actually had 2 different women that went up there, and each race was really crowded. When you have a whole bunch of folks in an event, they split it into sections, or heats, if you will. And when there are a lot entered, usually there's a lot of parity in each section. So the best times for 20 runners might only be 10 seconds apart in the 5K, which means that there's going to be a tight pack the whole race. It won't thin out much. And then you have to decide whether you want to go out fast to get the inside lane, in which case you're running a little shorter. You're running a true 5,000 meters if you stay on the inside. If you run in lane 2 for a few laps, you're running quite a bit farther, because on those turns you're running farther because you're out there farther. Geometry comes into play there a little bit.
Yeah.
So that does sort of play into your choice for strategy, but running on the inside isn't always the best, because you're trapped in there sometimes at someone else's rhythm or pace, and you get short-strided. You might get tripped up. That happens. So, just, again, knowing your own strengths and being comfortable and being able to keep your rhythm is really important. So both Jess and Hannah DeVries was the other runner that went, we kind of had them stay in the outside so that they could move when they needed to. And neither one of them ran a great first mile. They were kind of up and back, kind of on the gas, a little off the gas instead of real smooth. And I think that cost them each a little bit of mental and physical energy that otherwise would have been a great race for both of them. But, the pack, the crowd, the number of bodies in a race certainly has some play into how you do tactically or strategically.
Yeah, back in the day, I used to do some of the triathlons, and I also used to think that I could swim, too. And I thought, you know what, I think I'll just get to the inside.
Yeah.
I got swim over the top, kicked in the face. I almost became the first guy to get in the boat, that type of thing. But
yeah.
do you prepare? I mean, how physical is it? I mean, do you prepare for that? I mean, you just have to deal with what goes on in the race then, right?
You really do. It's hard to prepare for that kind of a pack. I mean, cross country kind of gets you ready for a packed race and track, because in cross country, everybody, you got sometimes a couple 100, 300 people starting on the line all at once, and it does get very crowded. But in practice, we don't have enough bodies to be able to run at the same pace to be able to practice that. So we do, get in tight pairs or threes or fours in practice when we can. But mainly, they race to prepare for that.
So how competitive was it up there?
Really competitive. Some events more than others, but in the events we were in, just the 3K and the 5K, we didn't win anything there, and we got a couple pretty good runners, so it was definitely competitive. Several certain qualifiers from Division II came out of that meet. Well, in an event we didn't compete in, the 800 meters, Drew Wendell from Ashland ran 146, and at the time, Friday night, it was the fastest by any human in this country at any level, professional, collegiate, whatever, and he's been passed since then, I think. But some really outstanding performances of that competition. They're the facility that we looked at a few summers ago, one of the facilities we looked at to sort of get ideas about what we wanted in our new indoor facility. So it was good to go up there, return to that venue. I'd never had anybody compete up there, so this is a good chance to see a competition in there and sort of get a preview as to what it could look like at our place.
With track, too, people sometimes would say, well, how fast is that? And, you said 146 a moment ago, and I said, well, go out and run 146. Now, don't hurt yourself, stretch a little bit and all that kind of shit. and see where you get at 146, and then see where the person that won. I mean, that's amazing when you said that, 146.
Yeah, on an indoor track. And it is a bigger indoor track, but still. Yeah, it is quite incredible. There are some really outstanding athletes at the Division II level. Some of the best milers in the country right now are at the Division II level. So it's very tough.
So, picturesque drive, was it, to Allendale, Michigan?
Yeah, it was picturesque, especially on the way home with, snow coming at your windshield and going 30 miles an hour in a 70-mile-an-hour time zone. Yeah, that was picturesque.
Oh, man. I'll tell you, one time we did a Pitt State football playoff game up at, I'm trying to forget all of this now, because it was in either Fargo or Grand Forks, and it's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're leaving.
Yeah.
We're driving back.
Yeah.
Unbelievably. I'm going, this can't be good as the snow starts coming down. But our standpoint, my wife was doing weather in Wichita at the time, so we just kind of called her and said, all right, give us the forecast.
There you go.
Where we can get and where we can't. So did you need GPS or anything, or you find Allendale all right?
Oh, I could find it all right, but I've been drug into the 21st century with all this technology like a lot of other people, and I really don't go anywhere I haven't been before without plugging it into the old smartphone, so we use the GPS, yeah.
Oh, my gosh, yeah, it's like trying to read a map. They talk about texting and driving. I'm like there, a map on my lap going, let's see, where are we? So how about that was up in Michigan. How'd your athletes perform down at Oklahoma, hosted by Oklahoma Baptist?
Well, we didn't really have any magical performances down there. I think Ramey Grayson probably is the standout, our long jumper sprinter, who got a pretty strong provisional qualifying mark. She jumped 19 feet 3 1/4 inches in the long jump. That was a big PR for her. So really happy for her. That you never know what'll happen. You are chasing distances in the long jump. Others can jump far too, so I think that mark will stand. I think she'll jump farther, especially when it really counts, maybe at the conference championship. So that was good stuff. We had some throwers had some marginal personal bests, and it's good to see momentum with our field event folks this time of year, especially. On the men's side, we had a few sprinters that got some marginal PRs. And again, throwers like Garrett Cantrell, big PR in the weight throw, and Bo Farrow threw really well. Freshman shot putter in his first meet, and then the training was getting to him a little bit, but now he's getting back to where he's throwing a little farther. You got a little PR in the shot put there, so that's good to see. So we're a little bit of momentum builder. We had a few disappointing performances, but it's hard to just go week after week and keep getting better and better every week. Sometimes there's a little half step back before you take the big steps forward, and we recognize that.
So tell me about the weight throw. If people don't know, I envision, ABC Wide World of Sports on Saturday afternoon about 3 o'clock or something. It's exactly what's the weight throw?
Well, it's not exactly the Highland Games version, but
yes,
it's sort of the indoor hammer throw. Outdoor, you have for men, you have a 16-pound ball, basically steel ball, on the end of a 36-foot long wire and a handle, and the athlete spins around and around 2, 3, maybe 4 times, lets it go, and however far it goes, that's your mark. Well, indoors, can't let it go that far, so they shorten up the handle quite a bit. The handle's very short, a couple inches, but it's a 35-pound weight, so heavier, a little different technique involved. But you spin, you turn, sort of reaching out, holding on to it while you spin, and you let it go into the sector, and you get your distance. So it's really an event that requires strength and agility and athleticism.
So somebody just find a ball and a chain in the backyard someplace one time. You know what? I might try to throw this. See how far I can do it.
I don't know the genesis of that event. I know it's a cool event though. It's really a popular event for folks to watch.
You got some folks that are pretty good at it?
Yeah, we do. We don't have any national leaders. No one that's like inside the bubble, as we say, to qualify to nationals. But with our men, I think we've got an aggregate of 3 or 4 guys that are the best crew in the conference. I don't know that we don't have a conference favorite necessarily. And with the women, I think we could say the same. We don't have the best in the conference. We've got 2 or 3 that can definitely score at the conference level, and they're a very integral part of our team because they're sort of the spirit of a competition to get us started. It's almost always the first event in any, especially a championship meet, and they're just very enthusiastic. They're very team-oriented, those throwers are, and we kind of rally around them to start any championship meet.
So is there momentum that can be built in a meet by how somebody performs early for your team?
Oh, no doubt about it. If your teammates are paying attention, and we do, obviously, you're not relying directly on a thrower to do your jump for you or to block for you if you take the vernacular of another sport. But there is a connection among teammates. In an invitational like this, more so in a championship meet where there's a lot more on the line, there's a connection there, and there's a positive vibe that kind of permeates the rest of the team when someone does well early or middle or whenever. I mean, one performance can lead to another good performance by an entirely different person.
Hey, back to the long drive to Michigan for a moment with track athletes. I don't know if it's just specific to track athletes, but do you, are they folded up in this station wagon? Are they folded up? Do you stop occasionally, try to stretch, anything like that?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That factors in. We took a van, very spacious for, just 3 athletes. And I just feel, you got to do that to chase the place where you get the best performance. But, no, we try to, we don't stay in the Motel 6 anymore like we used to in the old days necessarily. We don't stay in the fanciest hotels either, but we try to make it get them
getting your reward, your Marriott reward.
No, somewhere in the middle there, yeah. But we want to give them a chance to perform well. When you're going that far, you want them to have some leg room, and we do stop every couple hours, and they loosen up a little and get there the day before, so you can get your legs under you, as we say, and not be too tired. And then you just come back as quick and as safely as you can.
Hey, have you got a gas card that works outside the state of Kansas? There was back in the day in basketball.
Oh, I know. I remember those days, Tom. I certainly do, and it makes us appreciate sometimes we still complain about bureaucracy and procedure and red tape, but a lot easier than it used to be in some ways.
All right, what do you got coming up this weekend?
Well, this is a meet up at Nebraska. They call it the Tune-up, and it's appropriately named. I think we're kind of fine-tuning for our championship season, conference championships or national championships. Still trying to chase some qualifying marks, but for a lot of the folks we're taking, and we're really taking about half a squad, maybe 2/3, we're sort of doing whatever is necessary to get them prepared for the conference championship. For a couple, that is get a better seed time in the oval races to get a better lane, things like that. Others maybe just a little confidence builder. And some it's to not compete at all, to train instead of compete is sometimes what you need the weekend before a conference championship.
Hey, with the weather getting better, do you, even though it's indoor track and field, do you try to get your athletes outside at all?
Well, we really don't have much of a choice right now. We don't have the indoor track we used to have waiting on that great outdoor facility. So we're outside, with few exceptions, almost every day. We do have the pole vaulters get to be inside pretty much any time they're vaulting because we have the raised runway we built inside. We had our sprinters inside a couple of days last week. Last week was a horrible week. So we roll out some roll-out rubber, flooring, if you will, and do, 40-meter sprints so we can get some work done inside. But we really try to make hay in the good weather when we can, and this week, good weather, thankfully.
Does that keep you, given what you just said, from, I don't know, reaching peak efficiency, or is it much of a hindrance? Maybe. I
don't know, Tom. We're just doing the best we can do. It's not what we would do if we had an indoor track, but who's to say? There's silver linings to clouds, I guess. So we don't talk about what we can't do. We just do what we can.
All right, so that puts a lot of pressure on you then when you have the new indoor event center, right?
I seem to be getting some pressure, yes. Yeah, from different sources. Wow, when you get that, fill in the blank or whatever. So
still have the big hole there. I mean, we making any progress?
Yeah, there's a big hole out back.
Yeah,
and I think there's going to be an indoor track there, and we're excited about it.
That's Pitt State head coach Russ Jewett on this edition of the Pitt State Indoor Track and Field Insider Show. Pitt State athletes do return to Central Missouri and Warrensburg and Lincoln, Nebraska this weekend, prior to the MIAA Indoor Championships at Missouri Southern at Joplin the following weekend. I'm Tom Van Hoy.